Hey there viewers, my name's Torinski and welcome back to another DCSS Sunday. Today we're going to be jumping back into the usual, trying to get a win with every species in the game, but today is a very special Sunday. You can feel the freshness in the air because we finally, after so much trouble, managed to get our win with Deep Elf last week, and that means we're moving on to a brand new species in Ogre. Very much looking forward to this. I'm hoping that we'll be able to get Dragon Form and Manifold Assault online at some point over our journey here, truly embrace the overall max HP, and try and get some good stuff going on. But who's to say what the dungeon has in store for us? So without further ado, let's get ready to hop into it. We'll not be Celebrimbor today. No more elven names for us. Fortunately, there's only one elf in the game now. If we did this a bunch of versions back, I guess, at this point, we would have had High Elf to go, maybe even Sludge Elf. Would have been a whole thing, but let's hop into it, shall we? Time to go streaking? Oh, I sure hope so, Eggly. Wouldn't that be absolutely lovely? But alright, on an Ogre here, we have decent magical aptitudes. I mean, it's always tempting to go the hunter route a little bit because in a large species we can throw large rocks that just do an incredible amount of damage. You have to be a little bit careful of the attack delay on those bad boys, but otherwise it's pretty nice. But as mentioned, we are going to hopefully become a bit of a transmuter and slap everything around from all across the screen. So I think we're going to go with a mage side. Pretty decent magical aptitudes across the board. I think it's a +1 in spellcasting and -1 in every other spell school. So pretty even. We can really deal with whatever the dungeon throws at us. We'll see how it goes. Shrek? I mean, is there any other choice for our first Ogre here today? The only other contender I had in my mind was playing as Elroka's long-lost twin brother. But that sounds good to me. We'll start off with Shrek, and I think maybe we'll just go for Hedge Wizard, maybe? Environmentalist, I feel like I do all the time, so maybe we'll stay away from that for now. Instead, go for something a bit more interesting. Colgate, you vote for a Transmuter? You know what? Let's go for it. It is exactly what we were talking about wanting to get into in the future. Don't necessarily have to start it if you want a better chances surviving the first floors of the dungeon, but hey, we're pro gamers here. We can make fly with anything, right? I mean, our Fila Transmuter did okay, so you'd think we could do something similar today with Ogre. Let's give it a shot. And yes, we will be Shrek. A good old classic here. Ooh. I was about to say good clothing option for us, but Shrek more so has green skin and burlap clothing. But that's fine. Got your 5th win. They're coming in hot now for you, Colgate. Congrats. It's a Naga. Oh, AR. That's Artificer of Trog. But nice. I find Naga's a lot of fun. As long as you're okay with that slow move speed and can kind of work around that. Super interesting. Nagas of Che, of course, being my favorite. But as for our Ogre here, let's start by deciding what we want to do here. Unarmed combat training is nice to have early on. We'll turn off dodging just temporarily here. Let's see, what do we have in our starting book again? Wereblood, Spider Form, Ice Form. Not a whole lot going for us there. 11% failure chance on Beastly Appendage, so we want at least a little bit of training right off the rip here. But we might end up transitioning to a bit more an unarmed fighter if we don't come across any more spell books as we continue onwards here. We'll just have to roll with the punches. That +3 aptitude in fighting, also pretty incredible, I guess, across the board for Ogres. So we have an idea of what to expect here. We get a beautiful +30% overall HP, so we should be looking pretty healthy in that department. We also, as mentioned, have pretty decent spellcasting aptitudes across the board, good at throwing, fighting. Maces and flails isn't too bad, but I know that is something that used to be a heck of a lot higher. Whoopsie daisies, let's go here. Yeah, still just a -1, so not too shabby, but as mentioned, we'll be sticking with unarmed combat here. And what else? We have tough skin, I believe, so that's +1 AC, which is decent, don't get me wrong, but is unfortunately not quite what we're looking for. And so let's make sure, first of all, I guess, that I'm not completely forgetting anything. Oh yeah, we are large size, which means most armor isn't going to fit us. We're restricted to just robes, troll leather armors, and all the dragon scales as well. So if we end up going heavily armored in the future, we have options. But in the early part of the game here, we're going to be lacking defenses pretty hard. Similarly, shields, a lot easier to train, so we'll almost definitely try and slap a board on there sometime, but we'll have to see when the game sees fit to offer us such things. But of course, we jump in, make sure all of our pickups are happening. Probably just pick up across the board to start off here. Of course, all evocables. And we're just about ready. We just need to throw down a dump file. I'll switch over here, grab the seed real quick. Because if anybody's playing along at home, seeing how they fare with the exact same combos, or even just in the same species group, can play along and see how you fare in this dungeon setup here. There we go. Perfect. Early game was tough for your Naga, had to rely lots on Poison Spit. Once they get that free AC going, there's not much need to run anyways. You were full hubris and still didn't die. Well, that sounds absolutely lovely for sure. Doesn't always work out that way, unfortunately, but I'm glad it did for you. Hubris is my main foe most of the days here. Broger, if we need a basher. Sounds good to me. And onwards we go. A decent little start here. I mean, especially after coming from Deep Elf. Because I mentioned that we'd be struggling in the early game with Ogre, but it's kind of in the early mid-game, the first floor of the dungeon here. We're hitting pretty hard. We have a lot of health relative to especially that Deep Elf. So I'm hoping we'll be able to handle most of the tricks the game throws our way, at least to start off. Give us some time to train up, and ooh, do I want to go with a Fated Altar? If it was Trog, I'd be pretty disappointed, because I think we could get a win with Trog, and it goes against the whole become a dragon philosophy that we are going into this with. Which, I mean, in general, you don't necessarily want to force things too hard in DCSS, and want to be a bit flexible, agile with whatever comes your way. But to a certain extent, I feel like we can pull that off. You were beating Orbs of Fire and post-Berserk slow. Absolutely fantastic. No, definitely had a strong character going your way, especially, yeah, if you get a nice piece of barding or something like that on a Naga, works out pretty well. And Trog is always very fun, very powerful. Overall, good time. Perfect. We'll start dumping in intelligence. Unfortunately, ogres have a fairly low starting intelligence, so we're going to be making up some ground in that department. The flip side of that is that we do have a really strong base strength, especially for going in with a mage-like start, which means we'll be, again, hitting pretty hard and able to wear armor a bit more easily once we do find some pieces that we're actually able to take advantage of. I'm hoping for some relatively early troll leather armor. That's always pretty fantastic. Let's see, let's start by just throwing some rocks. First adder is always an interesting time, but we should be able to take them on. Perfect. And with that, we are kind of in the clear. We'll see what the rest of the floor holds before I get too confident in my assertions there. Also found some nice artifacts. An amulet that had resistance to electricity, 3 pips of RF, regen, and resistance to corrosion. Now that is a beautiful thing. I was just going through some desktop cleanup earlier today, and I realized that I had a random screenshot of DCSS up on there, and it was pretty awesome in a similar sense. It was a gargoyle that had all artifacts on hands, feet, both rings, necklace, all across the board, and so it was just maxed out resistances across the whole way here. And I think they were only 1 rune deep, so I don't even remember that run. It must have been fairly smooth going from there, but not too bad. As we found an Orb of Light. So this gives us the halo effect, really nice for early invisible monsters, being able to hit them a little bit easier. Yeah, we'll definitely just slap that bad boy on for now, at least. It's not like we're going to be sneaking up on anybody these days. I'm kind of hoping that we find some of the early level poison spells on this character, because while it may not be the main thrust going forward, it would be awfully fitting to the whole Shrek theme if we had some poisonous vapors or something going on here. Of course, we'll also become a vast mage because, as we all know, ogres do have lairs, and little known fact about ogres is that they all love getting into magic, of course. You had only 1 pip of cold resistance and 2 stealth, but other resistance were all max pips. It's always pretty satisfying when that's the case and you don't have to worry about hot swapping or anything. That's when you can just kind of no-brainer your way through the majority of the dungeon without having to worry about too much. Because we've seen how it works on the other side of the spectrum, of course, when I forget to switch over to my fire resistance, try and fight a fire giant, and immediately get absolutely obliterated. So I'm glad that you had a good one going. Rooting for Stormform Manifold Assault. Me too, buddy, me too. I'm desperately hoping that we get at least Manifold Assault, and then there are a few forms that I'd be happy with. Going with Dragon Form as my top slot, just for the overall health. Storm Form is up there too. Statue Form, of course, is just always going to be absolutely spectacular in terms of survivability. But we'll have to see how the dungeon is feeling about us today. If it's a generous day in the dungeon here. We're unable to wear normal helmets, so we'll be holding out for when we can find a nice soft hat, a nice chapeau to place upon our scalp here. We get the Beginner Earth book. It's not bad. Definitely if we want to rely a bit more on spellcasting as we continue forward here. Currently we're just going full monk style, punching everybody directly in the face, and I mean, it's working. Hello, Necrophage. Can I deal with you this early on? 8 damage. I mean, we can take a lot of hits. We should only have to get a few down, especially with our Beastly Appendage going. Fantastic. That's a really nice boost of experience to find early on here. You got a Berserk hat as well, so even with Fragile 1 mutation, you were Berserking with 500 plus health. I'm hoping we get something similar going on for us today. I want all the health we can possibly get. Summon Equine Companion. I have to see what we get here. They should add that to the game. No, I find myself blanking. I feel like I should know. Equine is horse? I feel like I always assume horse and then end up being wrong. No, ungulates are hooved. Going over all the classifications of animals in my head here, trying to think of which one I'm missing out. I feel like it's horse. Or donkey, I guess, which is probably what that reference was. Right over my head to start out, but I appreciate it nonetheless once it hits. Okie dokie, so let's take a bit of a pause here, now that we're in a decent place finishing off floor 3, and what kind of options do we have arrayed before us? Getting Pass Wall up could be a nice escape option. 14% is already not too bad thanks to that early transmutation training. Do I want to go into Earth? Start blasting? Potentially. Potentially. Regardless, let's start off with Pass Wall. Let's pop in here, and let's just make sure we don't train anything too high. Stop fighting at 9, stop unarmed. Go somewhere like 10 for now, and spellcasting also at 9. And that's fine. Then we'll continue forward once more into the breach. Oh, I didn't want all 3 of you. But that's fine, I guess. Never mind. Totally okay. Perfect. Never a doubt in my mind. Get 56 AC. Yeah, unfortunately we'll never get to that on this character, but it does sound absolutely lovely. With how many gargoyles I played back in the day. That's very much my my cup of tea. Just making sure you have enough armor class to brute force your way through the majority of the mid-game. And you got the plus 10 plate armor with Ponderousness. Ponder's basically free, right? You're already struggling with it. What difference is it to go just slightly slower? That's very similar reasoning to why I love Chabriatos on the Naga. You're already kind of playing that way. And plus you get extra free little bits of piety just based on how slow you are by default. But it's about time that we start thinking about our deity choice here. Do we want to go with something like Vehemet again? It is really nice to get the mana back on kill once we start manifold assaulting this screen. It'll just keep up our stores enough to keep blasting, keep slapping away at everyone around us. Does guarantee us some destructive magic, which there isn't a whole lot we're going for, so it's potentially tempting to go with Sif as well. Sif Muna gives you a much more well-rounded selection of spells. If you want to end up with every spell in the game, Sif Muna is your best bet for that. If you want just the big guns, just the blasts of the cast world, Vehemet is your go-to, of course. So maybe I'll think about that one for a brief moment here, and we'll keep going. Did I try the April Fool's species? I did not. No, in fact, I haven't even heard about this because I was pretty out of it for April Fool's Day. I was busy with some real life stuff. But what was it like? That's super fun. Now I'm regretting not learning about it and getting on. We could have done a little bonus bit, just done a quick run with them. A mayfly tar? That's pretty great. Oh, that's really fun. Were they very strong or very weak? So you never know which way it's gonna go with those joke entries. But early Fire Dragon scales is actually very, very nice for us. We'll need to train a little bit of armor to make things castable in this. Also probably want some way of shoring up that vulnerability to cold. But otherwise, this is essentially the dream for any Ogre start. So here's where we start getting just a little bit concerned that we're getting too lucky. Things are looking too up there. Hopefully not the start of another curse, but I'm sure we'll be fine, right? Just don't die, forehead. It will be fantastic. You mean Shrek worships Fez, but sure, yeah, Sif. Unfortunately, sometimes we must sacrifice a little bit of the storyline for some in-game advantages, but yeah, I'm sure if Shrek knew about Sif Muna, might have a change of mind. I mean, if magic was a bit more readily available. I was gonna say if magic existed, but it definitely exists in the Shrek universe, just more in the conventional fairy tale form, of course. Not too bad. Mayflower Taurs are pretty strong, but they have an accelerated Zot clock. Ooh, so you had to go through nice and quick. Otherwise risk instant death. That's a lot of fun. They had damage saving, extra health, Raveled Mentor in physical, and Deep Elf in hasting. Also got high magic regen, high health regen. Some level. Only drawback was that they had a 10th of the normal Zot clock forced to speedrun. That's a lot of fun. And yes, now I'm very disappointed that I didn't think to check and see. That's super silly. Completing a zig to stop the Zot clock was the meta, you think? That's the thing. Players will always find a way to get around little strictures if they're thrown in, especially as a quick little joke entry. There's not much that can hold back the player base from figuring out all of the world's secrets. Very distant still, eh? Jeez Louise. So we've done the full circle, hoping to get a close message. This could mean that it's just very, very deep in the middle of the level, I guess. Could also still be bottom left, in which case it'll be a shame that we don't make it in time. In fact, we just get another very distant message. Oh gosh, maybe it is. I was hoping to get into Ossuary. That's always a nice early area to find yourself. Bunch of new orc friends, not so great, especially since that ogre hit hella hard, but hey, we managed to make it out in one piece. Oh my gosh, now we hear the flow of sand nearby. We're close. We're kind of pushing our limits here, unfortunately, just because we're already on low health and I want to make it to that ossuary. But it seems like we're managing for the moment. And hey, look, a barding. Too bad we're not playing a Naga today. But I'm going to heal just a little bit more, and then that should be good enough to head in. Fortunately, doesn't matter in the end here. We have a nice little starting room to heal up. Your Mac got a 15 rune win with them, of course. Oh, what fun. But yes, that is Urmek's forte. Can pretty much win with anyone, I feel. And alarm traps everywhere. Let's try and clear our way through before we have to deal with that. For a second, I thought that Gnoll zombie was a Minotaur zombie, and I got very scared. And yet still just tried to jump right in and face them the old-fashioned way. Apparently, I have a lot of confidence in our Ogre friend here. Perfect. We're able to kind of abuse vision there to make sure the alarm trap doesn't get triggered. Absolutely fantastic. And then now we should be able to just clear out the last few floors here. Or little chambers, I guess, to be more accurate. And then let's pick up all the treasure, shall we? I mean, it's nice having some of these identified immediately as well. Yeah, we'll just jump into this now. That's fine. Oh, there apparently was another mummy. Hello, friend. Didn't see you there. My bad. Now for real, though? We're all clear, I think. Beautiful. Definitely pick up the mutation potions for the future. And look at that. That's a more identified inventory than you'll ever really find on one of my runs this early on. How about that? We have a decent amount of the floor left to go here. I don't really want to waste a magic mapping, but we can start reading. Wow, 11 teleports. I was willing to bet my life and limb that was going to be an identify stack, but I'll take it, I guess. Also, I've been forgetting to put on my gloves, so I should probably do that before we get too much further here. Oh wait, no, I can't wear gloves, probably. Yeah, that makes sense. Picked those up by habit earlier. Whoopsie daisies. The constant struggle of being an ogre in the early game. It's kind of the opposite of what I love so much about gnolls and their ability to just use literally anything that you pick up off the floor. But that's a-okay. I'm sure we'll get it sorted before too long. Hello, Shay. Still no economical temple, still no Sif Muna, so I think we'll wait. I'm a little bit too desperate to get the spells that we oh so desire, so I think I am willing to hold off for Sif here. Just make sure that we get the full selection. Onwards we go. Maybe I can all see out their golden rune before entering depths on that run. Of course they did. You're making the rest of us look bad. What are you doing, friend? But of course it's a lot of fun to watch them work their magic, so can't exactly blame them for it. So we just devour our way through all the early mobs here. Boy, does it feel nice just tabbing everything, putting in the occasional beastly appendage, and that's about as far as my thought process needs to go so far. Absolutely love to see it. But we're just about at the point where we'll start to run into some slight issues with our lack of defenses. Let's just hope we can kill stuff quickly enough that it doesn't become relevant here. And hello, Sif Muna. So being able to channel will be nice. Divine Exegesis will also be good, but the main reason for this, of course, is that last line there, Sif Muna will gift us books as we gain piety. I want all the books. We are a very intellectual ogre here. Again, breaking all kind of racial stereotypes that people have about us here. Because ogres have an eclectic mix of hobbies, really. Something we don't talk about often enough. But let's give ourselves some more intelligence and keep it moving here. Gotta save that Zot clock, right? Entering tombs before then was the only way to go. Entry-level traveling is dangerous before completing a zig with the Mayfly. Oh, that's super interesting. I like that it's a fun little joke while also having that extra rub of being an interesting challenge, adding in the speedrun aspect make things interesting, you know? Ah. Well, apparently there's quite the party going on here. Pickle's a little bit sketchy at the moment. We can take you upstairs. Well, this is where my moral compass plays get me in trouble because I don't want to kill this lemur. Ogre the Nerdlinger. Oh my gosh, we get random energy. Goodbye, friend. Now hopefully we can just survive down here. Don't have to run back up. We may have done it. Our morals stayed intact and in one piece. No compromising for us today. You gotta love it. Quickly take out this little batch. I'll probably hide from these friends. At least for the moment that we can get away with it. Perfect. Fortunately, the wizards and the sky beast all unable to go invisible in our aura is a huge help. You can see why the Orb of Light is one of the more favorite options to find in the orb sense. No downside helps a lot too. With so many of them, you're dealing with a trade-off that it becomes a pretty interesting calculus. Orb of Light, slap that bad boy on, why the heck not? Hey UF. Have a good nap, friend, we'll leave you alone. Like we do. This was really the floor that contained all of our little self-inflicted rules. Just need to see Natasha, and that will be pretty much the be-all end-all of it. Oh, I'm gonna love when random energy is replaced with attacks of opportunity. Oh, it's gonna take some getting used to say the least. Because yes, at this stage in the game, I very much take advantage of that, and it won't so much be the case in the future, for sure. Okay, was this was the stairwell where we initially met all of our friends. Hello, Dowan. Don't really want you to be the one we fight. Can I strand another lemur up here? Let's see, where is our other stairwell? Way over there? Come on, give me random energy before we get there. In fact, oh, how am I going to do this strategy with attacks of opportunity? I'm just going to constantly get slapped around as I'm trying to save your life. I promise this is for your own good. Just stay back. I don't want to hurt you. It's tough when you're an ogre and you have such strong fingers. It's so easy to accidentally murder your friends. You know, it's a tough life. It's not great when the lemurs to make it even harder for us. Or like, lets you see invisible. Look what Ogre needs to mimic a fraction of Nega's power. We're actually, yeah, just working with some Naga light or some TSO light. Be even more accurate about it. Oh gosh. I was hoping to quickly take care of Duvessa before your twin came a knocking here. Did you drink a haste? I think you drank a haste, didn't you, friend? That's awfully rude of you. That was honestly my haste. Drinks a potion. You son of a gun. I was gonna pry that from your cold dead hands. Well, that's fine. I'm just gonna read a teleport, get the heck out of there. No need to unnecessarily risk it. And there we go. The haste has ran out. And I can try this again. Oh, getting surrounded is not great. 69 health, 59. Falling fast here, especially as this son of a gun gets hasted. Let's re-teleport and almost die immediately. Oh geez. Well, Shrek, gotta say, might be an early day for you here, an early retirement. Okie dokie. What can we do here? We could take a step away and hope that an icicle or a stone arrow misses us, of course. We could read some random scrolls. I should have kept going after getting teleport. I'd meant to and then completely slipped my mind. Forgotten any kind of semblance of good ideas whatsoever. Let's see, Shrek. How can I keep you alive? I think it's too late for resistance to do it for us, even though that might have been something that we should have done beforehand here. I think we're gonna read a random scroll, hoping for fear could do it. A blink, obviously incredible. Anything else really save us for scrolls? I guess the easiest way to do this is to just take a look in our unID'd list here. Mostly looking for blinking or fear. Silence, also not too bad though. So it's just that easy, right? Get some uncommon or rare scrolls in our random selection here. Take your bets. Will it be Jadu Veneb? Will it be Jelisif Sov? Or Kavid Kesuli? Who knows? Of course, cannot forget the Wuafab Urik? Don't know how I want to pronounce that. Let's go with the 2 though. I feel like this one has a good mouthfeel, Kafid Kasuli, and it's gotta be Fear or Blinking. Nope, but we are still alive, because Dowan decides to hit us with a staff. Okay, that's fantastic. Now a blink would be bad for us, but do we risk it again, or do I switch over maybe to the health department here, try and get a heal wounds? Would definitely do the trick, at least for keeping us alive long enough for that teleport to come down. And I mean, lumpy red potions? That sounds like health to me, no? Let's give it a shot. Okay, we get brilliance. That's not what I was looking for. You deal up to 10 damage. Well, how about that? I just so happen to have exactly 10 health. Well, as long as Pickle doesn't random energy, you're saying there's a chance. 2-step. Make a gap. Gosh, darn it. Bear? Who invited you? Okay, so here's where we can take this turn to read, teleport again, take a few more steps. And there we go. It's that easy, folks. Not worried for even a moment there whatsoever. So we can just heal up here. And let's try and get ahead of the next issue down the road, and we'll actually read some scrolls. Exactly, Eggly. We did, in fact, never not have it. Pretty funny how that always works out for us. Let's inscribe this bad boy with ADOM, make our life a little bit easier. And we got heal, or curing rather, I'd like heal wounds. Hey, there's the cancellation. How about that? And no, we don't have any of the other forms online yet. Spider form is interesting, makes you a little bit fragile, but definitely can be nice early on here. And there we go, we have heal wounds and curing. That's essentially the dream here. Now we can just go through, get a few more of these buddies. Indeed, 4 scrolls of fear, that would have been handy to have a bit ago, but hey, can't exactly complain, we're still alive. Let's see, do we have any chance of casting spider form? It's not bad. Does it make you fragile? I can't totally remember. It's been a while. I usually ignore spider form because, yeah, it gives you vulnerability to poison, which is huge. It might not give you fragile. So I might just be kind of over-emphasizing the fragility in my head here. In general, when compared to something like, you know, ice form giving you poison immunity, statue form giving you just the best defense across the board. But those aren't exactly fair comparisons, seeing as how this is an earlier spell at the end of the day. So, that in mind, let's get back to training some more transmutations here. And why not? Let's take advantage of our list for now. Spider form, sounds good to me. We can even do a quick test run. We do get to stay at 98 health, we go up to 18 evasion. Not bad, and we'll be venomous, so that's pretty sweet. Now let me at you one more time, Dowan. In fact, I'm gonna chug a haste, turn into a spider, and we're just gonna absolutely obliterate you. Fantastic stuff. Let's see, so there's still a couple lamers with Pickle here, but I'm hoping we can take care of Big Man himself. We can probably relatively safely ignore the lemur if we're being honest with ourselves. Fact, let's just pop around here, poison Pickle real quick. That might be lethal. Fantastic, and we get to save the souls of these poor buddies who are entrapped to follow around forever. Oh, do I turn into a spider? Go for the ultimate glass cannon strategies. We're susceptible to poison, they're susceptible to poison. I don't think so. We'll just stick to Beastly Appendage for this son of a gun, and probably use Spider Form against the bear if they do happen to come our direction. Fantastic. Not too bad. A couple of little summoning spells, not exactly what we're hoping and dreaming of here, but I'll take it. Ooh, and we get the yellow cloak. Not my favorite bit of fashion in the dungeon here, but still plenty of run to go here. We'll find something nice. This gives a huge boost to evasion. Harder to hit spider size than ogre size. Fair enough, right? Can definitely understand that, especially with the skittering movement of a spider. Pretty unpredictable. So let's keep it going here. Not too many complaints across the board. Wyvern Zombie could be tough, but we managed to get through. Perfect. Thank you so much, Roga Loves DCSS, for the follow. Glad to see a fellow aficionado there. It is just such a fantastic game, which I guess is pretty much the reason why we're all here at the end of the day, right? I also like that we lose our halo when we go spider form. When we become an unholy abomination, we no longer get our halo effect. Fortunately, there doesn't seem to be too much arachnophobia down here. You know, besides the usual level of aggression that we face from the denizens of the dungeon, nobody's trying to burn the place down, though, which I feel like is much better than the fate we'd find in the real world going to spider form. One other nice thing about ogres is that they actually level up at the same pace as a human, so you get your levels coming in hot and fast. Make sure that you really do have that early HP, which is pretty fantastic. Naga keeps their spit in spider form. Interesting. That seems like it shouldn't be a thing, but I mean, some fantasy spiders, I'm sure, could have projectile venom, so why the heck not? At the end of the day, I guess if I'm putting in the qualifier of the fantasy version of the species, they can kind of have anything going, but we'll just blow past that for now. Of course, in our fantasies here, everything needs a standard internal logic that's consistent. That's why we're constantly discussing the effects of concussions on hydras. Get to the bottom of it, the scientific research that the fantasy world has been missing for too long. But okie dokie, spider form actually is doing a lot for us. Getting that poisonous, or rather the venomous bite early on, I mean, doesn't help us too much against an undead, or, you know, all these undead. Oh my gosh. So yeah, new version, when we do end up switching over to what's currently in trunk now, will be interesting, because attacks of opportunity gonna be real rough, but finally not dealing with just floor after floor of zombies and skeletons. Oh me oh my, is that gonna be oh so sweet. Very much looking forward to it. Give me back my powers as a Venomancer. Ooh, I don't like you with a halberd. Oh, but now you're next to us. Perfect. Just make sure we're nice and evasive. Losing our invisibility sight when we go spider form is actually a little bit more of an inhibition than I was initially expecting, but hey, we get through in one piece, so that's alright. Naga was your first one species that wasn't a -1 experience aptitude. It's interesting because I so often kind of overlook the level system in this game for the much more easily appreciable like skills, because hey, you know, if I have a spell skill at a certain level, I can cast these certain spells, and that makes me powerful enough to continue. But it's very easy for me to overlook the advantages that leveling up gains. Getting those statistics, or attributes rather, as well as the extra health that we can just get slapped on is absolutely fantastic. In fact, I don't think spiders can climb anymore, but I'm gonna try it out in just a moment here. Back in the day, spider form used to let you cling to walls. Oh, we can't do it. So you used to be able to kind of crawl alongside here as your spider clung to the wall. At least I don't think I'm mixing that up with a different game. Those were the days. Kinda hate this. There we go. Never mind. No problems whatsoever. Perfect strategy on our part. Oh, I should not have gone spider form. Let's end this transformation. Similar to the scorpion here. We would have been susceptible to poison while also dealing poison damage, so it becomes a bit of an interesting just kill them first forehead, but let's just teleport out, make sure that we are playing it safe. Level doesn't matter that much unless you were Demon Spawn or Genie. See, that's what I always thought too, but I feel like as of late I've had a couple of runs that have shown me the kind of strengths of those level ups, specifically, especially the attribute points. Though the extra bits of health and mana pool don't hurt either at the end of the day. So, still in the sweet spot of trying to evaluate how much credence I put into it, more than I used to for sure, because that used to be absolutely not a care in the world. It's just a number, it doesn't matter, and it's really truly somewhere in the middle, I feel, at the end of the day. Though, of course, you are right that Demon Spawn and Genie matters a heck of a lot more. Even some other little things like Tengu gaining the ability to fly, gargoyles as well. Am I mixing up anyone? I feel like they both fly. It's been so long, I've just had nothing but deep health on my brain for 2 months, and all of a sudden my knowledge of every other species in the game is just absolutely vacated the premises. Might learn a bit of poison magic. I wanted to check my spellbook before making any hard and fast decisions. Alistair's Intoxication isn't a bad spell. Gotta make sure you're properly set up for it here. If we take a quick peek. So yeah, we have to be worried about the little bit of vertigo we get, of course, but besides that, just being able to confuse all intelligent monsters, it's not bad. I'd rather have Oglep's Toxic Radiance or something like that as our holdover until something like Manifold Assault comes down the line. Ooh, poison resistance, don't mind if I do. If I turn into a Speed Ray and check, they do cancel out, so we end up with a net neutral on poison resistance. That makes the bee fight slightly more interesting. Still not ideal at the end of the day, but they are all vulnerable to poison, so I feel like it does give us a slight upper hand as long as we're just finding them one at a time. In the whole swarm, oh gosh, still not a great idea. I'd rather just have full poison resistance. Hello, Gastronaut. I really want your hat. +1 hat of willpower. Something we can actually use here. Unfortunately, we're not really close to being able to take this buddy on. They will absolutely annihilate us here. So we might have to hold off for the moment, but we know that it's here. And we will be back. Fortunately, we can always run away from Gastronaut. So it's not the end of the world one way or another. My Wraith friend, goodbye. Ooh. You're gonna be tough. Oh gosh. Itchy nose. Someone's talking about me. 27 health. We can probably chunk through you fast enough. I'd almost prefer that you were biting and clawing rather than that ridiculously powerful acid. Let's go evasive form so that we're potentially dodging most of the stuff. And there we go. We do manage to take them out in relatively short order. Fantastic stuff. Hello, my yak pack. Don't come back. No more, no more, no more, no more. But in all honesty, we'd love to see you because that is just free experience essentially. Poison the crap out of you real quick.